gate post is not really working currently. Very important to close this before you bring the cows down here. I have left it open, and then you notice when you're about up there and the first of the cows are nearly here, proper panic mode. I'm patiently waiting. You'd swear I left them tight last night. Fierce feed. I think there's a lot of heats going on there, so they like to stand around a lot when that's going on in little groups, not just girls. No, it's milking time anyway, I think. Plenty of grass left on it anyway. Get it today on it. Cows in and they can hardly walk with the others on them. So they had been on this field out here, and the grass type isn't fantastic in that. That field was reseeded before we took on this farm here. I don't know what varieties we're putting in it, but our advisor that comes here calls it cardboard grass. Every time he comes, and he's not wrong, I'd say the cows might as well be eating cardboard when they're on it. But that field that they were in last night is a field that we reseeded in the last 5 or 6 years, so it has made a big difference to them by the looks of things. That's what we like to see. Such a rush to do being to get across. That's just probably pulling the road, a corn with animals crossing at it. And 2 bungee cords then. So they're bungees, so they stretch out, and then when you take them off they just sling back, and then you're not having to lap up this big long ball of wire. And then it keeps it tight all the time as well. They go to work. See what I mean? Handy. Let me just leave the cone at the edge of the road because they're coming back after milking this morning. By the time I have this put together, taken down, they end up being a long way towards the yard. It's important to put this spring up because when they come out after milking, they need to stand here, but if they get up to that gate can only open in, then you can't open the gate and you can't get him out. So spring keeps them back a bit away from the gate, but we don't let him out. We used to let him out here row by row and they'd stand here then until you were finished milking, but sure, it was just destroying the laneway, so we leave them in the yard now. And I don't wash out the machine, we just bring the cows across the road first and then go back and wash out, because the longer they're out of the field, the more milk you're losing. So the quicker we can get them back to a field of grass, the better. Also, a reminder, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button now and press the like button if you like the video at any point. Both of those really help our channel out a lot. So what's going to go on today? It's Thursday morning again, so that means tail paint top up, and we'll just give a quick look at how many animals have cycled in 1 week. It won't be a massive job now. And then we want to do a grass walk. So the tape meter's back going, and I'll have time to do an actual grass walk. Did a quick one last week. It wasn't really worth video. I didn't really have time to make a video on. I just quickly went around. The bottom line last week was there wasn't enough grass everywhere, but we have got 1 day's rain since, and I think I'm not going to say I have enough grass now, but we definitely grew grass. And after the grass walk last week, one farm was in a much worse position than the other, so we'll see whether they caught up or not now as well. First we get these milked, get them tail paint topped up on anything that's not rubbed, and get them back across the road. Across the road then isn't a very big distance away. The furthest paddock over there that we would never be grazing with cows is still less than 1 kilometre. But the crossing of the road adds a good bit of time. As you can see there, you have to stop cows and then go again. And then the lanes aren't as good probably on that side of the road as they are on this side of the road. That means the cows walk a little bit slower. So overall it adds about 10 minutes up to 15 minutes onto milking, depending on how far across the road you have to go with them. So they're close to the road still at the minute, but the further they go in as they walk their way over. This cow here loves getting a rub, look. She stands back and waits. You're after cycling fairly strong anyway. There's not much tail paint left on you, isn't there not? One of the first cows came here in 2018. So she's getting on now, but she is a bit of a pet. Comes a scratch. They're losing all that winter hair now, and then when she's done, she walks away. Look, she's finished with me now. Come on, girls, up. I don't know what, I can't remember where I was talking about across the road. Yeah, about 15 minutes depending on how far in they go. Just quickly jump up here and show you what we're talking about when it comes to seeing if cows are rubbed or not. So there would be 3 cows that definitely haven't cycled. That paint is not rubbed off. This cow here is the very same as when I put it onto the cow. So they will be all touched up today with the roller. Cows like this have absolutely no paint left. She has all the paint left. She has no hair left even. So these won't be touched up today. These will be left like that, and those will be. And then these are the cows that have cycled. These are the cows that haven't. That's be done every Thursday morning. Cows that haven't touched up, cows that have been rubbed won't be touched up. And like I said, at the end then you'll be left with the cows after 3 weeks that still have this on them. They'll be scanned. These cows are ready to be bred. Simple. Tip, if you're standing up there and you're going, is she rubbed or is she not rubbed? 2/3 of the paint is going to be gone. And if you're unsure at all, just repaint her, because a cow scanned, it doesn't have a problem. is much better than a cow that has a problem that you've missed and haven't scanned. So I would say 2/3 of the paint rubbed, and if you're unsure at all, just paint her up and you'll get her scanned at the end of the 3 weeks. Way better to get a healthy cow scanned and know that she's healthy than miss a cow that's not healthy. Just see how much easier it is to see now a cow cycled and a cow that didn't. Now that they're all touched up, all fresh. There we go again. There's 3 not cycled. And there's 2 there that have, 1 that hasn't, 1 that has, 1 that hasn't. Just makes it very easy. Back across the road to go. Just run the cows across the road, back across. But 30, so there's about 108 cows here, and there was 33 cows have cycled in those 7 days, which is super stuff. They won't all cycle like, because there's some cows only freshly calved. So to get 30 this week, you mightn't get 30 next week, but you could get 20, it'd be half of them. You know, maybe 20 the week after be 70, I'd leave you with, you know, maybe 20 cows that haven't cycled. So, and maybe it will get on a lot better than that. Maybe it'll be 30 cows a week will cycle, and we'll only have 10 or 15 cows to scan. But there's some cows, there's more cows calving in April here than normal, and they are in this herd. So just middle of the grass walk here. Grass is not growing pretty much. Lovely and green, but when you get down here, the plant is kind of asleep there. And I'd say it's mad actually to go to seed. To be honest, it's definitely under stress, waiting for water. So there's a grass plant there, and it's only that height, right? But in here, in there in the bottom, you have a stem there. So I would imagine another week, and in there you have a stem. I would imagine in another week some of that will want to go to seed, because it's definitely under water stress. You can see there's no cover on that field, like it's green, but there's no cover there. But that's what we were expecting. But when I'm out here, see these patches of stuff dug up, look, dead grass dug up. Some here, more here, and really overall that's kind of yellow there, but an awful lot of ground dug up there. So I just want to show you what causes that. See, some here, ground dug up there, more over there, plenty of it in this field. But when we come over here, I'll get this side of the sun so you can see. We get down into these patches here and we try and give a look. When we dig around in here, do you see that, lad? Anyone that's squeamish now mightn't like that, but that is known as a leather jacket. So that's the larvae of the crane fly. Now, crane fly is a daddy long legs in normal terms, but they're going through their life cycle at the minute. So I think around the middle of May, just correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought around the middle of May their life cycle is pretty much complete, or maybe it's the middle of June, I don't know, let me know. But around the middle of May or the middle of June, you can correct me, their life cycle is complete. That's when all the daddy long legs appear. But while they're going through their life cycle, they're running around burrowing underneath all the grass roots, and they're in permanent pasture, so ground that hasn't been ploughed before or in tillage before, especially land down here, is full of them, but they're doing a ferocious amount of damage. All these patches. What happens is the leatherjack goes along and he's moving through the soil and he cuts off all the roots and eats the grass plants off even. The plant then dies, turns yellow, and the birds then know that these yellow patches mean that there's leatherjackets down there. Birds come down and they start pecking at the yellow patches, and that's why it's all pulled up. See, there's dead grass all around there. It's the only paddock we had really. And the bird comes down to try and access the leather jacket, and it pulls up the grass, the dead grass plants, and you end up with grass sods all around the field everywhere. See, burnt up patches, like you spray them off all the way out there. So there you go. If you see any of that in your paddocks at home, that's what's going on. It's being hammered with leather jackets. Nearly at the end of the walk on the home farm here. Glad there's so much first round left here still. They're taking in some ground that we would usually use for heifers. So that'll be, there's 6 paddocks in this field here. All first round grass that we would keep for heifers normally. But we'll need it for cows. I think it'd be better to give that to the cows and give them cow silage. So check the forecast there. They've been threatening rain for next week and the weekend for us, and even I think most of the country. Anyone watching this there, I don't think anybody is going to get any rain worth talking about this weekend. Maybe a heavy shower here or there, but that'll be it. Then next week for most of the country looks dry. Here on our side I see there's a very heavy rain coming in from the UK and running right up along the coast here. I don't think we'll get that. I think it'll miss us. If it gets us, there'll be 2 wet days here on this side of the country, which is exactly what we want. If it misses us, then it's dry again then for a week after that. So I think everybody, if you could just cross your fingers now for a little bit of rain countrywide, we could do with it. Now, and can I just say, before any keyboard warriors come on and say last spring was terrible, would you not enjoy this spring instead? I'm absolutely loving this weather. It's 24 degrees in the van here compared to last year. I'll take it too dry all day long over being too wet, so we're not complaining. Let's go through the figures. So the wedge and all will come up here now. You can pause it and take a screenshot if you want to take a look at it. The wedge, lots of grass above the line. Most of the grass is to the line, some is under the line. If we look at average farm cover and growth, which will be here now, we're growing more the demand, and average farm cover is a little bit high. So you're in a super position then. In other words, that's what the wedge tells you. But don't be confused or don't be tricked by the wedge. All that growth came on fields that already had grass on them. So average farm cover is high because first round grass that's still there grew this week, because the roots, I'm sure, are probably a little bit better, and you have a lot of leaf there to take in the sunlight to grow. Second round grass isn't currently meeting demand. I think there's 2 paddocks there. If we just go back to the wedge here, I think there's 2 paddocks there sitting around 900. They are both second round paddocks, so they did grow up to demand. But the majority of some second round paddocks are completely turned off. Didn't grow 20 or 15 or 20 this week. That's anything that was skint and had very little leaf cover to take in the sunshine during the week. They're all starving for water now to get the kick on, to grow the leaf first and then take in sunshine. So we're very glad of all the first round grass that we have. Overall, we're in a good position grass wise on this farm. Luckily, because this is where the bulk of the cows are, and that's the way it's going to stay for a little while. Now, if we get rain, like I said, over the weekend or early next week, all that means is that those lines here on the wedge that are way above demand line, we just won't go into those paddocks, and the heifers can have them back then, and we can get into second round faster. But if we miss all that rain, which I have a feeling we might do, going to be very glad of having all these paddocks above the line. That grass will still be better than feeding silage bales. So we're just in as good a position as we can be in at the minute. So just up on the second farm here now, the rented farm, not going to be as good up here, but we'll go through, we'll walk it, we'll give you a look, and we'll go through the figures again at the end of that. There's a serious shine on me because it's so warm. Behind the cows, these are all, you know, first calved cows of the year. They're in unbelievable order. They're fat, their winter hair is gone. It's usually June or July before we have cows looking like that here, and they're very content. Let's give a look at the grass. So wedge here, it's tight up here is the bottom line, as expected. One paddock sitting well above the line. That's this paddock here behind me. It's a massive area and a good cover of grass on it. That's the last first round field available up here. After that then it's all second round. That's why it's so tight. The second round is turned off up here just like it's turned off on the other farm, and it hasn't grown. So if we just put up average farm cover and growth here and demand, you'll see that we're not growing to demand. So that means we're in a deficit, and average farm cover will drop the longer that stays like that. Average farm cover of 3, I think it's 387 there, just crazy low for this time of the year. You know, 500 would be low enough to have it at, but it's at 387. The farm looks great. You know, there's the second round paddock over there. It's all lovely and green, but there's certainly no grass on it, or any of it, little short covers. And the grass looks the same as it does on the other farm, where, you know, you've 3 little leaves. You know, it's at the 3 leaf stage, but it's only that height. So there's definitely stress on the plant. And there could be a lot of shooting out to go on over the next week or two if we don't get any rain. The plan then up here, so these cows are being very well fed. These cows are getting a lot of nuts and a lot of beet here. But we have to still fill that gap. And even though our demand is really low, it's not a big herd of cows up here as you can see. Even though demand is really low, there's a gap to be filled there still. The paddocks, it says demand line there, you'll see if I put it back up here again. The demand line says that there has to be over 700 on a paddock of grass. That's 21 day round. I'd really like to have 1,000 on them, and that's what our advisor has said. You'd really want 1,000 on the paddocks. So when the first round is finished, there's a few days left in this first round field here, thank God still. But when this is finished, we'll do another walk and we'll see how far away the next closest paddocks are from having 1,000 on them, and then we'll fill that gap with silage and we'll feed that silage out in the field. So that's one huge advantage of getting this weather now, is that the cows normally they'd have to go back in at night time to fill that gap, but when it's during the summertime we always fill the gap out in the paddock because it's the easiest way of measuring it. Measuring the area you have to get every day and measuring how much you have to put in to fill the gap. And it's April now, but it's as good as the summertime here, so we'll put the silage out in the paddock. Bit more walk, bit of extra walk, just keeping the cows fed up here then. Not ideal, but it is what it is. The grass quality is going to be really good going into cows. These cows are milking really well. They're nearly averaging 30 litres here, 2.35 kilos of milk solids, because they're being so well fed. And a little bit of a gap now in grass between now and when we get rain. We'll fill that gap with silage and the cows will stay milking just as well as they are now. So that's going to be it for today's video. Just a reminder, if you haven't already, please click the subscribe button now and press the like button if you like the video at any point. Like I said, to start, both of those things really help our channel. Get into the comments there and let me know what your situation is with grass on your farms. Do you need rain? How high are your average farm covers? What's growth like around the country? And how are cows doing in general? And I'll respond to any of the comments I can, or any questions, and we'll catch up with you next week.